Welcome to With the First Pick, where we're going team by team to build a perfect 7-round mock draft. Who's on the clock today? We're breaking down the Seattle Seahawks, their biggest needs, best fits, and sleeper picks that could make their draft. And by the time we're done, you'll have a complete blueprint for how they can dominate draft weekend. That's Chris Rapasso. I'm Ryan Wilson. It's time to get on the clock. Let's build the perfect Seahawks draft.
A lot of picks.
Starting with pick 18. Offensive line is going to be a need, traps, but we can see
Absolutely.
Wide receiver is going to be a need. Cornerback could be in the conversation. So just so we're clear here, they have Charles Cross and Abe Lucas at left tackle and right tackle, who they drafted in the same draft class. And when healthy, those guys are good. They have some questions inside.
A lot.
Left guard in particular. So I'm going to start here, and then you're the GM. I'll be the assistant GM, and then we can work out. Let's start with the interior offensive line real quick.
Yes, let's start there. Let's start at
producer striker. See if my guy's there, and then we'll figure it out. So Tyler Booker's there.
All right. I'm a little concerned about the workout, but you're right. The film at Alabama, I heard a lot about at the combine. His 11-inch hands indicate that his grip strength is really good. Those are gigantic hands. And that would kind of be a Seahawks-esque pick where they've done the James Carpenter, the surprise selection. I'd be fine with Tyler Booker if you're that adamant about it, because they just need more power. The run game was so bad last season because they couldn't move the offensive line or the line of scrimmage at all. And Tyler Booker certainly excels in that area.
I'm laughing because I didn't realize that he had 11-inch hands. So he's 6'4.5", 321, 11-inch hands. He has 34.5-inch arms, 84.5-inch wingspan. Size. And look, again, we get hung up on measurements, but they're a starting point. He did run the 5.38. I don't care about that. He is 20 years old. He is not yet 21. And he plays in the toughest division in college football, and he is consistently dominant. Did play left tackle for one game last season, left guard in 2023 and 2024. And the best part, Traps, is when I talked to him at the combine, he credited Rick Spielman to helping him be the player he is. And I said, please don't tell anyone that. Just say that you earned it yourself, because Rick works with Alabama and Ohio State kids before.
Gotcha. Let's go Tyler Booker. I like that.
Yeah, let's do it, man. You put him in, you put him next to Charles Cross, and suddenly Kenneth Walker is getting back at it.
Okay, 2 picks here in 50 and 52.
Jesus. I say that because as a Steelers fan, I'm not happy that we don't have a second-round pick. All right, but I am happy to make these 2 picks. So we can go in any number of directions here. We can go wide receiver, cornerback, safety, defensive line. What are you thinking here?
I'm thinking edge. I mean, they signed DeMarcus Lawrence, but he's in the twilight of his career.
Yeah.
Boye Maffe's there. I just think they need a little more juice. I think either of the Ohio State edge rushers would make a lot of sense. They're high floor. You know what you're getting with them. Good pass rushing moves. So whether it's JT or Jack, I would be fine with either one of those 2.
I think Tuamaloa has a little more juice.
He does.
Jack Sawyer, his motor, not just necessarily gameplay, but his motor reminds me of TJ Watt coming out of Wisconsin. So that motor is going to be there as well. Let's go Tuamaloa. I like him a hair better, but I could be talked into either player. So edge rush, boom. Now we're back on the clock. 2 picks later.
I wouldn't hate corner. I think you hinted at that earlier.
Yeah,
cornerback. You love Reek Woolen, Devon Witherspoon in the slot, but I think on the outside you need another big body athlete, and that Darian Porter is the one to me that stands out. And then if he's healthy, Benjamin Morrison is I think would be an absolute steal, but we just don't know that much.
We don't know. And that's a great point. He's got first-round tape. It's just the hip injury is something. It's not an ACL. We don't know what their recovery is going to be like, and that's a concern. Darian Porter is a former wide receiver with insane ball skills.
He reminds me of Reek Woolen.
His tackling needs to improve, but if he intercepts the ball, he doesn't worry about tackling anybody. I'm fine taking Darian Porter here.
Yeah, agreed.
Because then
you have 2 really big, long, uber athletic outside corners with him and Reek Woolen in that defense.
Yeah, Devin plays in the nickel, although he can play outside, and then Josh Jobe is the other cornerback. And I think Josh Jobe, if you give him some competition with Darian Porter, you're doing something here. All right, pick 82. So we have offensive line. You want to look at wide receiver?
Let's do wide receiver. Let's add to this group.
Because they've added
MVS, Cooper Kupp,
some old timers, and Cooper Kupp and MVS and Richard River Craycraft. Maybe his name is Richard. I love that. Let's see here. So Cooper's a slot guy. MVS is a deep ball guy. Craycraft is sort of a crafty underneath guy. And they have Jackson Smith and Jigba. And we don't have to take one a wide
I
receiver
think
here?
they need someone on the outside. So like Trey Harris, I don't love his film relative to all the production that he had where they were just throwing it deep to him like every play in that Lane Kiffin offense. But they kind of need, like you're saying, Cooper Kupp better in the slot, Smith and Jigba better in the slot. MVS is not going to scare people that much in terms of being a high volume outside receiver. So Trey Harris kind of feels very John Schneidery because he has the pretty good workout and he's a big body. I kind of am leaning Trey Harris here with this pick.
All right, let's take a quick look before we do, because you said you don't love them. Let's look at defensive line.
Okay.
Just see if we want to add some depth
Interior.
there. They do have Byron Murphy, who, it's hard not to love.
Ooh, Josh Farmer.
Josh Farmer's great. I love Deion Walker in theory. And let's look quickly at safety, because they could even add some safety help here. They have Kobe Bryant. They have Julian Love. Obviously, they're huge Julian Love fans there. Makuba I have rated higher than a lot of folks. Latham Ransom is probably one of the smartest players on the field. So right now, I think I'm leaning Farmer, the defensive tackle, over Trey Harris.
I was going to say the same. I think he stands out more than anyone else. And I think receiver, you can add just a bigger body later in the draft. Farmer, athleticism, size, and insane length. I think he would just give more. He would add a more of a formidable element up front, along with Byron Murphy, the first rounder last year.
Yeah, I like it. 35-inch arms. Holy Moses.
That's insane.
Where they find these guys. He has 10.5-inch hands. So you have a guy with 11-inch hands and a guy with 10.5-inch hands. Now members of your team. All right, next up.
Ransom and Makuba are still there.
92. So Latham and Makuba are still there. What do you think? I'll defer to you in terms of.
Can we look at tight end? I know they picked AJ Barner last year. Noah Fant still hanging around. Ooh, Fannin is still there. What do you think about Fannin at this point?
I like it.
I think it would to me give some legitimate upside to this position. I know Barner made some plays and was a big time athlete coming out of Michigan, but Noah Fant is your like tight end one at this stage of his career. He's kind of been a disappointment. I think Harold Fannin could be really fun for Darnold to get the ball out quick and just let him create after the catch, because that's what he did every single game in the MAC last season.
Right. He reminds me more of he can block in line, but he plays mostly in the slot. So you have another slot guy, but you can move him around. You can move him line up at H-back. I like Gunnar Helm a little better, but in terms of what Fannin brings, and also he reminds me a little bit in terms of his play style in the MAC of Malachi Corley. Now, Malachi Corley didn't do anything for the Jets last year, but maybe that changes. But it's just
bounces around tacklers.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm fine going Harold Fannin here. And if you have any doubt about how good he is, just watch Texas A&M and Penn State. Mm-hmm. Strikers Penn State, who he ran all over.
Yeah, he was really
love it. And that can buy us a little time on wide receiver if we so choose. We're pick 137 here. And
5 more picks. They got a lot of them.
They got a lot of picks, so we can just start. So the quarterback, the quarterback we can consider, I think, what is Sam Darnold's a 2-year deal?
Mm-hmm.
So they have him, and they have, of course, Sam Howell and Jaron Hall. Let's just look and see who the quarterbacks are. Like Quinn Ewers is still there. Is that a consideration in the 4th round? This is the end of the 4th comp pick here. Kyle McCord is still there. My guy, Kyle McCord. I would take Kyle over Quinn, but that's just me.
I would too.
Do we want to take Kyle here, or is there other things we should consider?
No. Well, let's look at receiver quickly, and if not, then we'll go back to Kyle McCord.
All right. So Pat Bryant, Kobe Hudson's a good player. Kyle Williams is another slot guy. Isaac TeSlaa, I love out of Arkansas. 6'4", ran into the 4.4s. He can play inside or out. Ty Felton ran in the 4.3s out of Maryland. Huge productivity guy. Those two names stick out to me. I don't know if there's anything else that you're looking at.
I would say, well, TeSlaa too he was like a big slot at Arkansas. Now he would be a different style to what they have with Kupp and Smith and Jigba, but he's another one that's mostly in the slot. I would maybe just go back to Kyle McCord because a lot of those players I think would be kind of redundant as to what the Seahawks have done in terms of.
And with TeSlaa, you would have to make him not make him play outside, but use him more outside because
he's bigger. Yeah.
But you don't want 27 slot guys on your roster. All right, let's go Kyle McCord. We have a ton of picks. We still have 4 to go. And then
we want to look interior offensive line. Have we addressed that yet?
Yeah, we got Tyler Booker.
Oh yeah, Booker
at
the top. I was thinking center, but
let's go back. I'm looking at Kobe King here at linebacker.
You like him? He's
I
an
love him.
old school
Yeah.
2-down thumper.
Yeah. So let's look at a wide receiver real quick here.
Yeah, let's do that, and then maybe go back to Kobe King, because I agree. I mean, he's not going to be a great coverage guy, but he can really stop the run.
So I like the idea of Ty Felton here, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Because he's more of an outside, get down the field, vertical threat. Cooper Kupp is not that. Smith-Njigba was so efficient, but that's not really his specialty. Felton would add an element that they just don't have on this roster in the wide receiver room right now.
Exactly.
You agree with that?
And played mostly outside. He actually has some return ability, 6'1", 183, 4.37.
And then we do have another pick and 3 more, so
yeah,
some other guys will probably stick around too.
Okay. My comp for him was Brandon Lloyd back in the day.
Ooh, good one. There. What do you think of Keandre Lambert-Smith from Auburn? He's another outside burner too. So maybe we wait here. Maybe we wait at wide receiver.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at my notes on Lambert-Smith too. I liked him. And in fact, I liked him middle day 3. So that's right around where we are. He's another 4.37 guy. What's going on?
Actually, yeah, no, let's either go Felton or Lambert-Smith, because that is, I think, at the biggest need, especially it directly impacts your big ticket free agent signing in Sam Darnold. So you make the final call, but I think between Felton and Lambert-Smith would make a lot of sense.
Producer Stryker, how was Lambert-Smith at Penn State?
I thought he was pretty good. I was sad that he chose to leave the team.
Right, fun fact. Maybe that's the ultimate tiebreaker right there.
Even here's the other connection. I'll give you $10 million if you tell me who his uncle is.
Keandre Lambert-Smith, former NFL player.
Cam Chancellor. So we have
done. Absolutely. There you go. He's probably going to be the pick with that connection in real life.
I'm glad you remind. I haven't thought about him since early in the draft process. So I'm glad I got a chance to go back and look at him here.
Do we want to go see if Kobe King is still available?
Yeah, absolutely. Now. Let's go look at linebackers, because I saw a couple names there, and we're just sort of getting guys that can help this team right away. They have Tyrese Knight, who I like. They have Ernest Jones, who they acquired via trade. So Danny Stutson's still there. Looks like our guy is gone. Man,
I love Teddy Buchanan. I think he would be tremendous value. I have him graded way higher than this, but you're right. Maybe linebacker, even this late, is not the biggest need. But if you're cool with linebacker, I think Teddy Buchanan fits exactly the coverage ability that you need in today's NFL.
Yeah, if you want to go Teddy, let's go Teddy. My comp for him was Divine Diablo in terms of his movement skills. USC transfer, undersized, but can stride out in space. That sounds like what you were saying.
Okay, all right. Late round 7 here.
All right, so this is pick, what's that say, 222?
223.
223, thank you.
We've hit a lot of needs here. So at this point, I really think maybe just looking at best available.
Yeah.
What about Jackson Slater from Sacramento State, the big time tester, kind of Cole Strange like? I think that would make a lot of sense. I mean, you bring in Tyler Booker. Slater could maybe even eventually be a center that gives you more mobility than Olu Oluwatimi, who's now the starting center in Seattle. I would love Jackson Slater here.
Let's do it.
And then one more.
All right. What do you think?
What about safety? That's kind of where I was leaning when I was waxing poetic about that Sacramento State guard. I think safety would make a lot of sense. RJ Mickens.
I love. Let's go with Dan Jackson, who I love out of Georgia, because he's an absolute thumper. Like he's the guy that when he's playing your team, you like, this guy's a headhunter, and when he's on your team, you love him. He actually tested really well, so I'm glad he ran well at the Georgia Pro Day. He got an invite to the Shrine, the Senior Bowl.
That would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense.
I like the edge with which that young man plays. So let's throw Dan Jackson a little bone here. All right, we got through those picks.
Hit a lot of needs, a lot of different positions here with all these picks.
I'm sure Falcons, Seahawks fans will love it. Tyler Booker at top, JT Tuimoloau and Darian Porter at edge rush and cornerback respectively. Josh Farmer, interior defensive lineman. Then Harold Fannin, tight end / slot / do it all. Kyle McCord provides a little backup behind the quarterback 1 and Sam Darnold. Keandre Lambert-Smith, wide receiver out of Auburn by way of Penn State, whose uncle is Cam Chancellor. Teddy Buchanan, linebacker out of Cal, who can play in space. Jackson Slater, Sacramento State, interior offensive lineman. And finally, wrapping things up, safety Dan Jackson out of Georgia. And that wraps up.
We aced
What's
it.
that?
I think we aced it. I think we did a great
feel
job.
Like it. I'm with you. That wraps up the perfect Seahawks draft class. Make sure to subscribe to NFL on CBS on YouTube. Download with the first pick wherever you get your podcast, and stay tuned for more perfect drafts because we're hitting all 32 teams.